So now that you know who we are and sort of where our thinking is at the moment, we can take just a couple more minutes before we open up to your questions for each of us to take on one of the publishing myths that bothers us the most. Publishing is a very mythologized industry. It's very veiled. People who don't work in the industry really don't understand how it happens. And a huge percentage of our time as agents is spent explaining to people how publishing works. And so one of the benefits of coming to conferences like this is that in one space we can try to educate as many people as possible. Pull back the veil, demythologize a bit so that everyone generally becomes more educated about what it is we do, how it is books become books, and how you can better prepare yourself to be one of the people who has a book become a book. So, on that note, anyone I guess who wants to begin can take on a myth that they believe needs to be debunked.
Well, I think one of the most obvious ones, and hopefully one that you guys are disproving even now, but talking to us, is just that agents are sort of these, hard-nosed, unapproachable characters, and that we're only interested in money. We only want to talk to you, unless you've already been published in the New Yorker or New York Times, etc. But I think when you come to these things, you realize that we are just people too, and we're definitely willing to hear your ideas. We want to talk to you. We want to hear from you. We want you to email us, because without you, we don't exist. We can't work without writers. We need writers to survive. Another myth that I think I hear a lot is that we don't actually, read our slush, or that we have interns reading everything. And I would say, at least on my end, patently untrue. Almost every agent I know, we do get around to almost everything. And we'll read up to the point that things continue to interest us. But I read absolutely every query to a point that comes in my inbox. And that's a lot. I'm getting like 100 a week now. So, I mean, it is a lot of work, but we get around to them eventually. So just know that even though it feels like you're one of a million, when you send your query out there, you're not just one in a void. People are reading your work. And yes, there may be some agents who don't get back to you right away. There may be some agents that don't get back to you at all, but that doesn't mean that all your efforts are for nothing, okay? Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Well said.
All right, well, I'm going to pick two myths then, and one is that published authors make a lot of money. That actually, most published books are sold for under $10,000 in advance. And so most authors do have day jobs, or they are freelance writers who are constantly pitching out short work and making a living on magazine sales, or other or they're journalists or they're columnists. And the other would be that the other myth would be that the only way to publish is with a major house and an agent. That actually most books are small press books. There are so many small presses, so many little university presses, so many independent ways to publish, and now with self-publishing there are even more. That New York publishing, big major New York publishing, is just one slice of the pie, and that there are a lot of other avenues. That not every book is a Random House book. That there are plenty of niche titles that have their audience that they sell into, 5,000 copies or 10,000 copies or whatever it is, or 2,000 copies, that do perfectly well. And some of those do eventually get picked up by the major publishers, but that there are plenty of opportunities to publish outside of the big publishing avenue.
All right. I think I'll take on one major myth, which is there's no place for debut authors, debut novelists anymore. And that's patently untrue. The first 3 deals that I made as an agent were all for debut writers. They'd never published anything before at all. I think that there are a lot of places still available. I think a lot of houses are looking for fresh new voices. And I hear a lot that you can only get an agent if you've been previously published. You can only get an agent if you've got books under your name. It's not true. It's not. We will look at the writing first and foremost. And so if the writing grabs us, I don't care if you've ever been published before. I mean, sure, if you have, it's great. But, I'm not selling those books. I'm selling this one.
Great. I'll take on one more from, and Brandy might want to chime in at some point here, or Emmanuel, or you, anyone who has worked at a publishing house, which I have not. But I was going to debunk a myth I think that some people have about editors in publishing houses. Because there are so many, and yes, you all do think this, bad books published. You walk into a bookstore and you cannot believe that somebody, at Plume put that book out, and you're just ashamed for the entire publishing industry, and you want to despair and steal the book and then put it in the trash can on your way out. I mean, it drives you to crime, I know. I think there is kind of this feeling that editors and publishing houses are, I don't know, maybe lazy or inattentive, or maybe just don't care as much as they should. If they did care as much as they should, then they would care about quality works like yours. And that we wouldn't see all of this sort of junk out on the shelf. I feel like, all of us have our own standards of what makes a good book and what doesn't. And certainly all of us feel like there are books that are published that shouldn't be published. And I think first we should sort of confront that space in ourselves, which is probably hating that book out of envy. Not just you, but us too. I mean, we go into a bookstore and see a book on a shelf that is not as good as the one that we took out that we couldn't sell, and it's frustrating for everyone. So that's the first place I think to sort of debunk that part of yourself. But also I think it's important to know that, especially for those of you who have worked at a publishing house, editors on the whole are very attentive, very alert, very intelligent, very resourceful, very hardworking people who work many more hours than they are required to at work, who take manuscripts home in the evenings and on weekends, who do their very best to find the best work and to fight for it and to publish it. And they can't always do it. They're not working in an arena in which they can take on everything they want. They're working as you are working, or as you have worked at some point in your life, in an office environment that involves a lot of different factors and a lot of different political realities. And sometimes they can't take on what they want. And sometimes they can't even fight as hard as they want for what they want. And sometimes the book ends up being bought that you don't think should be purchased. But on the whole, I think I would like to sort of raise the level of respect that most people outside publishing have for people who work in publishing. Not agents per se, although I do want you to respect me. I would like you to just admire a bit the real quality work that most editors do, and that they are, in fact, trying to do the best for publishing, the best for readers, and the best for their publishing house.